Welcome, and thank you for joining the Sales Strategies for Success in Selling Medical Alert Systems presented by Assistive Technology Services. My name is Ron Arnold. I'm the founder of Assistive Technology Services, and today we also have Frank Jenkins, our sales manager. I wanted to go ahead and give you all just a brief history of Assistive Technology Services. Assistive Technology Services started in 2008, and we started at that time focusing mainly on no monthly fee medical alert systems. And that's what we continue to focus on today. We have many other products, but our main focus is no monthly fee medical alert systems. And today we're the largest distributor of no monthly fee medical alert systems in the United States. Our company focus is we really want to help people live independently. And we look at products that are good quality products, that are priced fairly, and we really try to focus on helping the caregivers take care of their elderly parents and also help those that want to live independently. And we focused on that for all these years, and we've been very successful in doing that, and that's our main focus. So today we'd like to talk about this concept, and at this time I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to Frank Jenkins.
What we want to help you achieve today, we want you to be successful practical marketing strategies for personal medical alerts. We just want this to be just a bunch of talking that we're going to do. We actually want to be practical in helping you. We additionally want to help aid you in tapping into this billion-dollar industry. Actually, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. We want to help you become an expert in the field of medical alert systems. And last but not least, we want to become a resource for you. The bottom line is we want to help you be successful. And so that's really our focus and our goal today for doing this. Now we're going to kind of paint in broad strokes as we go through today's meeting. And so we want to be as applicable as possible with you, but since this is our very first webinar, we're going to kind of just paint a really broad picture of what we found to be successful marketing strategies for selling medical alerts. This is just the first of several webinars that we'll be doing. Hopefully the future ones will iron out all the bugs. And so once we do that, we can, but these future ones will be able to tunnel down and be much more specific in meeting your needs. And so, but with that in mind, we want to do as much as we can today to help you be successful. So if you do have any type of questions and you're logged into the website, we just have to see there's a chat box on the title bar. Type in your question there, and we will answer them the best we can as we get towards the end of the seminar. And the other thing to think about too here is that in the event that something goes wrong, like it just happened with me, do me a favor and just log out and log back in, and we can pick up right where we left off. Okay? So let's get into the meat and potatoes of all this. First thing is that what is a medical alert system? I think we just kind of need to establish our baseline here. I'm sure pretty much every one of us is familiar with this picture. The Help I've Fallen and Can't Get Up lady. She's been around now for about 40 years, I believe. And so during that time, we have heard and seen her commercials. We see them on TV. We hear them on the radio. She's all over the Internet now. She's in print media. Everywhere we can go, you see that they have the companies that go with this direct marketing to the end user. What we have is they will have spent millions and millions of dollars to be able to basically prey on the fear of seniors of falling and not being able to get help. And let's be honest, most of us probably have heard stories of some individual who has fallen and stayed in one place for several hours because they could not get help. What I want us to realize, though, is that competition, what we do is that the problems with what we see on TV. They may advertise, for example, that the product only costs $12.99 a month. But once you call in, they're actually going to do a bait and switch. And they will bring to it all the other features that you see on TV really have additional cost to them. And by the time that all is up, it could be almost $50 a month that the individual is going to pay. There's also going to be long-term contracts involved. Most of the time, these take about their 2-year minimum, and they automatically renew. And then finally, kind of like the limited range. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Ron here to kind of give us a little bit more specifics about exactly how the medical alerts we see on TV, how they actually work, just so that we can get an idea once we start comparing to the type of medical alerts that we're going to be offering and what we encourage you to sell. Hey, Ron, why don't you take it away?
Sure. So as Frank mentioned, everyone's seen the "I've fallen, I can't get up" commercials on TV, and you see the lady in the kitchen, and she's fallen down, she's yelling, and then you see the ambulance show up, and then everything's all well. That's not the reality of the way those systems work. The way the system works, and let me explain the way that the system works and the way that people use these systems today. People are not typically in the kitchen. A lot of times they're not even in their house, or they may be upstairs, they may be downstairs, they may be in the garage, or they may be out in the backyard. So let's take that scenario, for example, a real life scenario. A senior's out in their backyard. Excuse me. They're out in their backyard, and maybe they're working in the garden, and they have one of those systems that we're talking about on TV. They press that button, and when they press that button, what happens is they're not going to hear a beep. They're going to see maybe a light flash. And at that time, they're going to hope that the system's working, and they're going to hope that someone comes and helps them. So they're laying there in the garden, and they have a broken hip, and they press that button, and they wait and wait and wait and wait. And eventually, if everything worked well, they'll hear a siren, and they'll hear an ambulance pull in the driveway and the police and whatnot. And then what will happen next, and these are real situations, they'll come to the door, they'll beat on the door, and usually they'll bust the door down. That actually happened to my mother. They bust the door down, they come in, they can't find anyone. They'll look around, sometimes they'll actually go out and they may look around in the yard, or they'll eventually leave. That's the reality of what really happens with a system like that. And that's the problem with those systems is you can't communicate through the panic button. You cannot talk through that pendant. So what we're going to talk about, and the systems that we really like, are the ones that you can actually communicate. So let's take the same scenario. So let's say you're out there with one of the systems that we're going to talk about. You're out there in the backyard, you're in the garden, and you press that button. You can talk to 911, or you can talk to anybody through that. And while you're talking to them, they know exactly where you are. They know your situation. They know the details. And when an ambulance does come, they'll know that they need to go into the backyard and that they can help you. And that's the difference. That's the real life difference. And when you're taking care, of a family member or a friend, that's what you want, is you want them to be able to press a button and help to get to them where they are. They could be in a shower, they could be downstairs, or wherever they are. So that's the difference between the systems that are being sold and have been sold for decades and the systems that we're talking about. So Frank, you can go ahead now.
Thanks, Ron. And as I said earlier, the thing about what you see on TV and our experiences is they use fear as the motivating point to be able to make the sales. We, on the other hand, believe we should use things like peace of mind and a desire to live independently longer as main selling points. A difference between a medical alert like what you see on TV and a no-cost medical alert that has two-way voice communication. So, okay, so you may be asking yourself, okay, I understand all that, Frank. That makes sense. Great, but why should I sell medical alerts? What's the big deal about it? What's in it for me? Now, there are several points here that I want to bring out. One, I already said, this is a multi-billion-dollar-a-year industry. The other thing to realize is on average, 10,000 people a day become senior adults. And this average is going to continue for the next 15 to 20 years. So this marketplace is only going to continue to grow and grow. And so whether it's medical or some other products, serious consideration should be given to getting into selling into this market, just simply because of the growth potential and what's going to be happening with them over the next 15 to 20 years. The great thing about a no monthly fee medical alert system is a simple cash sale. There's no contracts to deal with. There's no paperwork you have to hassle with. It's just they come in, they pay for it, and they walk out with the unit. And honestly, when you're talking about the individuals who buy the senior adults, the ones who are going to be using it, is that people want to live independently longer. And so to me, as you realize the senior adult population is going to grow so much, the question is, why should I sell medical alerts? To me, the question should really be, why am I not selling medical alerts? So for the purpose of this webinar, we're going to talk about specifics about the SkyAngel 911 fall detection. And now let me go ahead and just make this caveat. The principles we're going to be talking about, the suggestions we're going to make, they will apply to any type of medical alert that you decide to sell. And the medical alert field now has become quite inundated with different types of medical alerts, from the very, very inexpensive to the incredibly expensive. And so the principles we're going to be talking about will apply to selling any of those. We're going to focus on this one for a few reasons. One of them being this is by fast becoming our most popular product. This is the type of product that's been in demand in the marketplace now for quite some time. And so the reason why is going to be because of these key selling points. And I just want you to think about these. First of all, it's small and lightweight. It weighs maybe 2.5 ounces, and it's maybe just under 2 inches tall. And we're talking a very nice small profile. It's simple and easy to use. It's not complicated. It's obvious where you can look at this and you instantly know how to use it. You press that SOS button, and it's going to call 911. As Ron mentioned earlier, a key component is that two-way voice communication. And this has an outstanding microphone in it and a speaker. You could literally be standing up, have this on the ground by your feet, be able to carry on a conversation with the 911 operator very, very clearly. In fact, I was talking to one of our customers who had one, and she accidentally had it in her purse. She pressed up against the purse by accident. She called 911 and actually could hear the 911 operator talking to her through her purse. So the voice on this is just great. It's 100% waterproof. It's not just water resistant. You can splash on it, but you can literally dunk it underwater. You can take a swim if you really need to. It's one of those things, again, this is what the marketplace has asked for a number of years now, are these type of features. It has automatic fall detection. If you fall down and get disoriented, this is still going to call 911. It's 100% mobile. There's no need for a home phone line, and there's also no monthly fees. It works anywhere that there's a cell phone service. It's a key that this is a no monthly fee medical alert system. And so again, I just bring these points up because I wanted to do a comparison and contrast what Ron talked about earlier with the one that's a home phone line based and that has very limited range. This one, as long as you have cell phone service in the area, it doesn't matter who the carrier is, this unit is going to work. So as we begin to talk about how to set medical alerts and things like that, and really think about your marketing strategy, I really feel like we need to address what I feel is the biggest misconception with selling medical alerts. You all are familiar with this. It's if you build it, they will come. I believe this misconception applies to medical alerts. I've heard this time and time again over the last 10 years. People have the belief that if they just have medical alert systems on the shelf in their store, people are just going to flock in and buy it. And even though we think it's important to have product on the shelf, having it there is not going to be enough. It's simply not going to be true. Just because you have it does not mean they're just going to flock in and buy it. And as I said, over the course of the last 10 years, I believe this was the biggest issue. We've had time and time again, I've come across people who have bought multiple units, 10 or 20 of them, and then 6 months later call me back griping and complaining simply because they still have those 10 or 20 units sitting on the shelf gathering dust. But when I talk to them about it, they tell me and ask them what type of marketing they've done. I find out they've done very little. They have zero strategy. And almost to a T, each individual said, I just assumed as soon as I had it on my shelf, people were just going to come in and these things are going to fly off the shelves. And that's not true. To be successful, you have to have a plan. Okay, so what we want to do today is we're going to tell you just a few things we found that have worked. Okay, and we can also tell you a lot of things that don't work. Okay, again, between 20 years of experience between the two of us, Lord knows that Rob and I have made our share of mistakes of what doesn't work. But I'd rather focus on what does work. Okay, and so first and foremost, you need to set those established goals. You know, they need to be a realistic goal. How many SkyAngels and 911s, if we're using this as a medical alert, how many of these do you want to sell per month? Okay? And make sure it's a realistic goal. Now, here again, if your goal is to you come in and call me and say, hey, Frank, I'm going to sell SkyAngels and we're going to sell 500 a month, I'll be your best friend. Ron and I will do whatever we can to help you. We'll make sure you get Christmas cards from us and Christmas cookies. We would just think the world of you. And honest to goodness, I don't think that's a very realistic goal to be able to say I'm going to start selling 500 of these a month without even having a plan in place or anything like that. What we recommend is you use the 1% rule. And how that works is very, very simple. You think about all the people that you come in contact with in the course of 30 days. They come into your store, if you're out marketing, whatever, and your goal is to sell 1% of them. So let's say that number is 1,000. Okay, let's say during the course of 30 days, you come in contact with 1,000 customers of some sort or another that come into your world. Your goal then should be to sell 1% of those, which means you'd sell 10. And now you can set the goal higher. You can do 2% or you can do 5%. We have found, though, as a starting place, a starting point, we would recommend doing 1%. Because we feel this is a very realistic goal that's attainable. Because it sets the bar high enough where you're going to have to work for it. It sets the bar at a realistic level where you should be able to do the 10 and then build on it the following 30 days. And everything happens in 30-day increments. Okay? Which leads to our next idea. You need to be able to develop a strategy. And that strategy simply is answering the question, what are you going to do to meet your goal? Now, in just a few minutes, we're going to share some strategies with you that we think work. That we found, again, that have been tried and true. There's nothing glamorous about them, but they do work, and they will help you be successful, okay? And getting to your 1%. After that, it's very simple here, and I know this is incredibly remedial, and probably it's too obvious, but you need to implement your strategy. Again, we in the past have talked to individuals who come up with this marketing plan that seemed very, very good, but then when I talk to them 60, 90 days later and ask how their plan is going, they say, well, we really haven't started yet. And so they've made zero sales in their medical alerts because they simply haven't implemented their strategy. Then we also recommend that you review monthly to see if your strategy is being successful. Like I said, everything happens month to month. So you take the first week after, if you're starting in September, you take your first week in October and see how you did, and then review it and follow it and see what we could do to help you be more, like I said, because we want to be a resource to you, like I said earlier. So, okay, so those are the ideas. So once again, using the 1% rule here, our goal is going to be to help you make, and we'll just use 10 as an example, simply because I feel it's an easy number to remember. Your goal is to get 1% of your customer base each month at a minimum. Okay, so now how do you accomplish the goal? Okay, so here's some practical steps we want you to do to be successful. First of all, you need to advertise. You've got to get the word out that you have this great product. Okay, you need to let folks know. If you have a website, please put it on your website and put it on their front and center. Make it a highlight point. Make it something where people are going to go to. Make sure you put all the proper taglines on it. You put all the proper keywords around it so that people do some sort of a search for it. They'll be able to come to your website. They'll come to your website quickly. The next thing you want to do is we recommend that you have brochures on hand to distribute to a customer base. Again, if you decide to use one of our products as an example, we can customize brochures for you. I'll come up with a proof. I'll do it at no charge. I'll send it to you. Once you like it, you can actually reproduce it and hand these out to your customer base. It's important that you be able to let them know that, that you have this product. Again, the advertising comes in real well. We do recommend you have product in hand. Again, I'm not saying, you don't have to do 500. If you want to do 500, we'll be your best friend. But I recommend have two. One that you use a demo unit, and a second one that you're just going to sell when somebody comes in. And then when you sell that one, you buy another one. And use that as your starting point. Then as your sales begin to increase, then you can work towards keeping stock. I don't think it's realistic to be able to come in and say, I'm going to stock using, going to have 15 or 20 on hand to begin with in stock, when you can sell them with 5 and they do what you need to. Again, we're talking as a starting point here, working towards the 1%. Okay? So it's important that you can demo it, show people what it is. When you're talking about senior adults, especially the over 65 crowd, they don't do websites. They're not going to go do web research on products. They're going to want to touch it, feel it, kick it around, make sure that's not some sort of a piece of junk, and that it's something that they're going to feel is going to be reliable. And that's where having a demo unit will come in very, very well. Okay? I recommend you do some sort of, if you do mailings, if you do any type of regular mailing, billing, or any type of newsletter, always include information about the Sky 911. Repetition with this is the key. You want your customer base to constantly be hearing about this, because the first time they see it, they may not think they have a need for it. But after the third or fourth time, then they realize, hey, my friend down the street did fall the other day. Maybe this is something I should hang on to just to be good, just to have just in case. So again, having that repetition via a newsletter or mailing, things like that would be very, very helpful. Okay? We have to utilize social media, because the other buying group, and we'll talk about these, identify them a little bit better in a few minutes, is going to be the adult children of senior adults. And those people, that group, they do use multimedia, the technology of today very well. So if you have a Facebook page, if you're on Instagram, if you're a tweeting machine, make sure that you put things out there on your social media about how you have your medical alerts, that you want to be known as the dealer in the area. Okay? So that's one step to do here. The next thing we want you to do to help you accomplish your goal is to train your staff. And I'm going to have Ron here jump in and talk a little bit more about specifics about training your staff. Okay, Ron?
Okay. Well, Frank has done a great job of talking about how to market and how to get the word out about the product. But I believe, once you've done that, the next step is you've got that person in front of you. Knowledge is the key. I mean, it truly, truly is. And we've been doing this a long time, and we've truly found that these sort of products do not sell like beans on the shelf. You're not going to put them on the shelf. You're not going to stack them in the corner, and people are going to walk up and buy them. They just do not do that. They need to know about the product. And just Frank went through the list of a lot of the selling points of this product. But if you just knew 2 of those, or your staff knew only 2 of those selling points, it's going to change everything as far as getting someone to understand how the product works and getting them to buy the product. So, for example, if you just simply said to one of your potential customers, would you be interested in a mobile medical alert with no monthly fees? You've just hit on 2 really, really, really important points that they've never heard of before. Mobile medical alert. That is new in the industry. And no monthly fees. That's unheard of. People just do not get it, and they want to hear more. So if you just know a couple of those points, a couple key points, you're going to be able to get their attention, and you're going to be able to talk to them more about the product. So the other part of this that's really important is identifying the potential customers. Who are they? Who are the people that are going to be buying these products? And we have a list of some of them here. Senior adults, of course we understand that. And senior adults today is totally different than they used to be. Senior adults that go out camping, that go out walking, that want to live independently, they're not going to be sitting in their home. So they're much more mobile than they used to be. So definitely senior adults is your target market. Adult children of those senior adults, that is typically the target market that you really want to focus on, because they're the ones that are making the decision. They are the buyers of these products. So when you see those people, when they're looking for other products or you're talking to them, you can immediately identify that they're your target market. Another market is children. These products are great, and this one in particular is great for kids, because there's a little loop on it, and you can clip it to their backpack. They can carry it in their pocket. It's a great product for kids to carry for school safety. They just press the button and they're talking to 911. It has GPS, so 911 would know exactly where they're located. I mean, it's a great product for kids. Individuals who work alone, like realtors, people who jog. The market is huge for this type of product. So really the important thing here that I really want to stress is knowledge is the key. Knowing something about the product will totally separate you from everybody else. We've all been in the situations where we've gone into a store and we wanted information about a product, and the person behind the counter really had no information. They hand you the product, and you're both standing there reading the label, and we don't want that. If you know a little bit about the product, a couple of the key features, you can easily sell this product. Okay, Frank?
Yeah. And one last thing about that is we can help. Want to let you know that if you decide you need some assistance in selling products and you like us to do a 10-minute training for your staff, we could do that. We could easily show them how to do this as a webinar just like what we're on right now and make it very user-friendly for your staff and help them gain some product knowledge. Because like Rhonda said, I've said, and we'll probably say it a few more times, knowledge is the key. The more you know, the more you're going to be able to sell. And that gets us into what we think the next aspect is to be able to accomplish your goal of selling medical alert systems. That is, you need to become an expert in your field. If you truly want to sell medical alert systems, you kind of really need to understand the medical alert field. Now, again, one of the reasons why we did the comparison and contrast between the product you see on TV that has a call box with a non-voice activated button that the individual wears compared to this particular product that has two-way communication, so to give you some knowledge. Already you have more, if you didn't know it before and now you do know, you just gained a little more knowledge to become an expert in your field. And so by having that knowledge, then it's going to enable you to be able to answer questions and be able to say, well, why should you buy something like this over what you see on TV? So not only product knowledge, we also recommend you understand the demographics in your area, okay? We know how many senior centers, senior adult centers are, how many VFW posts, how many senior residences, things like that are in the area. The more demographic of your target group is going to be, the more you understand it. Again, that knowledge will help you make more sales. You may decide, again, to sell this school-aged children, and if that's the case, then how many elementary schools are in your area? Parents of school-aged children, I guess I should say. How many elementary schools are in your area? What are you looking there as far as your demographics? Whichever way you decide to go, and even if you do a multi-pronged approach, we also recommend that you do live presentations. Specifically, we have found live presentations to senior groups on senior safety to be highly successful. Ron and I both have done multiple of these, and every time we've done one of these, people have come up afterwards and wanted to place orders with us, even if we weren't there to specifically market a medical alert system. And that's part of what I was talking about, being an expert in your field. If you become an expert in your field and call a local senior adult center, call the local, area on aging and say, hey, if you ever need a presentation on senior safety, please let me know. I'll be glad to do it for you. They're looking for people to be doing this. They're pretty hungry for people to come in. And this is actually a very great way to get into your target market and get one-on-one time with them. Really spend a lot of time understanding that specific demographic.
Hey, Frank.
Yeah, Ron.
Hey, yes. Speaking of that, I just to mention, I did a presentation just a couple weeks ago, and I did exactly what you're talking about here. I did a presentation in front of a senior group, and I had one of the Skyangel 911s with me, and I was up on stage. I was doing the presentation. I simply took it out of my pocket and dropped it on the stage. The people's, their mouths literally dropped. It was incredible. The impact of demonstrating it, as you were talking about earlier, of demonstrating it right in front of someone, and it beeped and it made the call. They were amazed and impressed. So demonstrating the system, doing a live presentation is a key selling factor. I just wanted to bring that up. Thanks, Frank.
We already said this, so we've probably beaten this horse to death. I'm going to do it one more time. Develop your product knowledge. The more you know, the more you're going to sell. Learn as much as you can about medical alerts as well as the competition. Okay? And so, you want to be able to answer the question, why is the Schedule 911, or why is my medical alert system that we are selling to you better than what you see on TV? You need to be able to answer that question. And if you can answer that question from a position of authority and as an expert, you're going to be able to sell more, because you're going to show people exactly how this can make an improvement in their lives. Again, remember, if we're talking about the demographic of senior adults, the two features that they're looking for is they want something that's going to make them feel safe and secure, that peace of mind factor, and they want to be able to live independently longer. A medical alert system like this helps that demographic accomplish both of those goals with really very little out-of-pocket expense. Okay, wrapping it up here, let's review just a little bit just so that you can see kind of like what we talked about, and then we'll be a downhill slide here. First of all, please set monthly goals. Again, we recommend the 1% rule. Use that as a place to start. Then develop your marketing strategy. Again, once you've set your goal of how many you want to sell, make sure you have a strategy in place of how you're going to accomplish that goal. And let me just say this too. Developing a marketing strategy, putting a plan together, will not take all your time. You can actually become very successful selling medical alerts by just devoting a couple, 3 hours a week to it. So we're not talking about becoming a full-time medical alert salesperson. We're talking about developing a marketing strategy that works for you to help you accomplish your goals. If you have a staff, we really emphasize again, do your best, train your staff. Help them to know two key selling points of medical alert systems so they can just ask customers as they come by and be able to get the information out, okay? Know your market, okay? Make sure you understand exactly who you're marketing to, and at the same time become an expert in your field so that you're going to be able to answer questions, be able to show people that you're the go-to individual in your area for medical alert information and where to get a medical alert system. Then last but not least, out there and market. Go out there and do it. Put your plan into practice, implement everything, and then once you get finished with all that, make sure that you do your review and see how it's all going. And so once you're 1% at this month, if you set 1% for the month of September, and you've overcome that by 50%, then set your next for the next month, do 2%. Continue to grow your business. I mean, you think about it, you could easily sell 10 of these at a minimum month. Just think about how that would impact your bottom line. Okay. Well, that's all we have for today's webinar. And so we do appreciate your time. I didn't see any questions that have come in. So if you still have any questions, now would be the time to type one in. If not, you have my contact information here, both as my phone number that follows me everywhere I go, as well as my email address. And then if you do have questions following after this particular webinar or anything we talked about, please don't hesitate to give me a call or shoot me an email. At the same time, this is just the first of what we're hoping to be an ongoing series of webinars. So if there's something very specific that you're looking for in a webinar that would help aid you in developing this aspect of your business, please let us know. We don't want broad strokes. It's just going to be our first one. We need some ideas of what we want to do for our following webinars and things like that, but we'd rather hear from you to see what will help you and become successful with this. So, again, we do thank you for your time. Ron, did you have anything else you wanted to say in conclusion?
I just wanted to thank everybody for attending, and we look forward to talking to you next time.
Okay. Thanks again for y'all's time. We look forward to talking to you soon. Take care. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.